Well, the Debates Commission, as put forward by the government, is a commission to have no debates. Because what they've put forward is this big, cumbersome, bureaucratic committee where everyone gets a Guernsey and everyone has the right to veto whether any debates go ahead or not. It's a recipe to avoid having debates, and it's not surprising for anyone who's observed Parliament as you do that the government that shuts down debates whenever anything's moved on the floor of the Parliament doesn't want to have debates during an election campaign either. I'm up for a debate today, tomorrow, next week, next month, as many as possible, and we should be doing that. This government has avoided debates on the floor of the Parliament, and now they're trying to avoid debates during the election campaign as well. So I'm up for a maximum of debates. It would be good to have at least one debate every week while the election campaign is on, and I'm certainly up for that.
Let me invite you then to take part in that traditional event, the Sky News People's Forum with undecided voters. Will you commit to taking part on that debate, at least that debate, as part of this campaign?
Absolutely, I'll commit to that, Kieran. And the Sky News People's Debate is an important forum. It gets ordinary Australians to have an opportunity to question the Prime Minister and the alternative Prime Minister during an election campaign. I want to see that debate take place, and it should take place here in Queensland. This is an important state for the election, and I certainly would welcome at least one. We can do more than one if you like, but if Scott Morrison will agree to it. But we certainly should have one here in Queensland. We should have other debates as well. We should have a debate at the National Press Club. The ABC should be allowed to host a debate. I'm up for debates being hosted by the commercial networks as well. There should be the full suite of debates about issues that are about a difference that it makes to people's lives. When we elect a government, we have an impact on people's lives, on their living standards, on their job, on their childcare costs, on the costs of living, on whether we deal with climate change. And all of those issues should be up for debate, and I'm certainly prepared to engage in as many debates as possible, but one of those should certainly be the Sky News People's Forum, and it should be held here in Queensland.
All right, well, we will agree to that, do it in Queensland, and there's at least one, maybe more.
Well, there's yourself as well, Kieran, so we'll have at least two people there. We'll see if Scott Morrison is prepared to front up for debates. Scott Morrison avoids debates whenever possible. The most common motion moved in the Parliament this year has been to shut down debates, to move that the motion be put or move that members be no longer heard. And unlike all of his predecessors, whether it was Malcolm Turnbull, Tony Abbott, John Howard, Julia Gillard, Kevin Rudd, they were all prepared to have debates in the Parliament. Scott Morrison just shuts them down and doesn't respect other people's views, isn't prepared to defend his record, which will be by then almost a decade in office, and isn't prepared to debate the future. I want a better future for Australia, and I want to debate the ideas that I have to make sure that people's wages and living standards are lifted up, that we address the issue of equality for women, that we address the issue of climate change, and all the other suite of issues that this next election campaign will be about, as well as, of course, address the government's failure when it comes to rolling out the vaccine and having purpose-built quarantine.
Well, we've got that challenge set. Well, let's see what the response is. I'm sure the government, the Prime Minister, will be keen to be part of that traditional forum, as you said, during the campaign. Let's move on, though, because Michelle Rowland, the communications spokesperson for Labor, was on this program last week. She said it's not Labor policy to support this Senate committee inquiry into the media. Why did your senators, in terms of that committee, back it? Did they back it with your approval?
Look, I don't approve or disapprove of what senators or members do in committee reports. They undertake their work independently of the Leader's office, and there has been now an inquiry. There's been an inquiry by the Senate about media diversity and about those issues. Those issues are important, and they were considered already by the committee. Michelle Rowland is our communications spokesperson. I think she does a fantastic job.
And so you rule that out, any such inquiry if you win office?
Well, I've seen no argument to do it, Kieran. We've already had an inquiry. It seems to me strange that an inquiry found that we should have another inquiry. We've had that. And of course, there's nothing to stop. There's nothing to stop if people are critical about any bias in the media. They can call it out, and they do, and I do, on a regular basis when I think there's been unfair treatment. And of course, what we see is changes in the media landscape with a whole lot of new vehicles springing up. In my local area, there's a new newspaper starting early next year that I did an interview for just at the end of last week. There's actually nothing to stop competition in terms of a newspaper starting up. Many, of course, have started up in the last decade in terms of online productions. But I think I have not seen a case made for a further inquiry at great cost of a Royal Commission. What we've said is we'll have a Royal Commission into robo-debt is my priority. We've said that already as an announcement. We will also have to, I think, have a look at some of the way in which we've dealt with the pandemic. It's inevitable there'll be some form of an inquiry there in our handling so that it can make recommendations going forward as well.
Kevin Rudd made some disparaging remarks about Michelle Rowland after she ruled out an inquiry. Have you spoken to him about that? Would you take it up with him to complain about that sort of thing?
I know people are entitled to their views. I respect Kevin Rudd. He's very much a friend of mine. He's been a friend of mine for a long period of time. But Michelle Rowland, as our communications spokesperson, I think does a fantastic job. She'll be the communications minister in a government that I lead. And she has a background, of course, in the law when it comes to communications. She's an outstanding spokesperson. She's right on top of areas like the National Broadband Network, where we've made significant announcements. And of course, we've also made announcements about improved funding for the ABC, about making sure that there's that security as well for the ABC and SBS with 5-year funding. And as well, we will have a feasibility study into whether SBS should move to the multicultural heartland of Sydney and Western Sydney.
And finally, you're going to be meeting with the South Korean president tomorrow, as I understand it. What will be your message to him if you win government next May, most likely March or May? Will there be continuity in terms of foreign policy, and particularly when it comes to the way Australia deals with China?
Well, my message is there certainly will be continuity in how we deal with the region. Labor has 3 key themes, if you like, that we've had consistently. The first of those is our alliance with the United States. The second is our engagement in the region. And the third is our support for multilateral forums. And of course, South Korea as well. We could play a much closer role with our position on climate than the current government. We see climate change as being a national security issue. It's about our positioning in the region as well. That's really important. So I look forward very much to meeting with the President tomorrow in Sydney. And we're great friends with our Korean neighbours. as we are with other countries in the region, and I look forward to forging a close relationship with South Korea, as we've had for some time on a bipartisan basis, and it's a good thing that the President is visiting Australia. We haven't had many visits, of course, from international guests in recent times, and it's one of the signs that Australia is beginning to open up again, and that's a very positive thing.
Mr Albanese joining me from Caboolture in the seat of Longman in Queensland. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Kieran. Have a great day.